So welcome to my camp. It's time for breakfast. Anybody that's traveled with me knows I like to eat well, and dehydrated food is not my idea of eating well. So each day as I go through town, I stop by the grocery store or a corner store and I pick up eggs or cheese or steak or something where I can have fresh food. Today we're having breakfast quesadillas. So we've got cheese, eggs, butter, and some tortilla shells. Once the butter bubbles up, we're ready for the egg. You're only going to cook in half the pan. It's going to be the same shape and size as the tortilla. But just carrying all in one, add a little flavor to it. So once the edges of the egg here are just a little bit dry, you can go ahead and flip it over. And while the egg is still cooking and hot, we're going to go ahead and add some cheese. The stove I use is an inexpensive stove, multi-fuel. It takes gasoline, it takes white gas, fuels that you can find anywhere, but most importantly, it's got a nice regulatory temperature. Go ahead and add a little extra butter again. This will help brown the tortilla shell. Between the egg, the butter, the cheese, a little bit of spice, it's an absolutely delicious breakfast. And there we go, one breakfast quesadilla. Thanks to Ewan and Charlie in their first movie, The Long Way Round, the BMW has become the iconic adventure bike. And now it's the KTM and the Hondas, but there's a lot of really good alternatives out there. This is my producer Tim's Versys 650. And although it may not be the ideal adventure bike for going off in the dirt and running around on this little 17-inch rim, it turns out that this sport adventure bike works pretty darn well with just the right setup. The biggest detriment to riding a street biased bike like this off-road is that 17-inch tire, this small diameter rim. When you look at the hardcore adventure bikes, they have these big 21-inch wheels, and that's how they roll over things. The 21-inch wheels are better at rolling over obstacles. They're better at self-correcting when they get into soft sand or gravel. You can ride one of these off-road, but to ride it with confidence, you need to be better skilled and better trained. So the first thing Tim upgraded was his lighting. He went to an LED headlight, and he also added accessory lights. The accessory lights mean when we're out after dark, he's got better lighting for the trail, but also it makes him stand out much better in traffic. So for protection, he put on hand guards and then put on shorter levers. So if he tips over, he's not going to bust a lever. To help protect the engine, and more importantly, the radiator, he put on a set of crash bars that wrap all the way around and attach back to the frame. And this is a quality skid plate, mounting all the way up to the engine mount up on the front and back to the frame on the rear. These are terrible foot pegs. These factory OEM aluminum cast pot foot pegs are bound to snap off. What he needs is a nice set of cleated pegs of milled aluminum or steel. With all the camera gear, security and protection made hard panniers a no-brainer. So we got aluminum hard panniers here, nice Pelican box up on top. The mounting point for these pannier racks all are forward on the bike. So knowing he was going to take this bike off-road and have all that vibration, he added these turnbuckles, which run all the way up to the subframe and secure the back of the rack so he doesn't get that vibration fracture and lose the panniers while we're riding down the trail. A chain oiler is a no-brainer for anybody taking a chain-driven bike off-road. A set of heated grips for comfort, a battery monitor because he charges things while he rides, and a mount for his smartphone with a charge cord because that's what he uses for navigation. Ooh, loud horn. And here's my favorite part, beaded seats, not just for cabbies. These things really do work. So one of the things I teach riders is ditch the tank bag. That way when you're standing up, you can move around on the bike. But Tim's got a tank bag because he carries the camera and this gives him quick access to it. So one of the talking points about the Versys is that the rear shock is too stiff. And Tim says with all the extra gear on the bike, it actually works pretty darn good. So let's face it, the original adventure bike was nothing more than a street bike that people took and traveled on. The idea of purpose-built adventure bikes are a pretty recent occurrence in motorcycling. No matter how much Tim does to this Versys 650, it's never going to be an Africa Twin. But that doesn't mean that it's not a capable adventure bike.